you feeling this week?
I'm feeling fine, I guess.
Okay. Do you remember what we worked on last week?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember.
All right. From your own recollection, what do you think that might have looked like from last week?
Well, last week I was saying super mean and aggressive things to you, and you're telling me that I should make those statements about myself, and then, to express my feelings about them. So instead of saying that I hate you, I should say things like, I dislike that you're doing whatever.
Yeah, that's absolutely exactly what we were talking about last week. Okay, so for this week, we're going to do something very similar. So instead of what we did last week, which was just focusing on a single comment that might have been made from myself to you or you to me, and how to phrase that as exactly what you just said, an I statement where it's I felt this way when you did this. We're going to take a whole interaction that might have been difficult or where you felt someone was being mean to you, and we're going to look at all of the parts that are present in that interaction, and we're going to try to take it first from what it looked like as you experienced it, and then we're going to try to rework it to see if there's room there for you to have a little bit more control over how you're saying what you want to say, which might feel even a little bit, easier, so that the conversation doesn't escalate and become, let's say, maybe more aggressive or upsetting. So let's start from the beginning, right? Within the last week, can you describe one conflict that you might have had with another student in the classroom?
I mean, yeah, sure. Last week, I have a friend named Jaden, and we used to talk a lot, but recently he's been not talking to me as much, mostly because I keep saying really rude, mean things to him a lot. I remember I called him ugly last week, and I also said that he would never get a girlfriend or similes to that. I don't remember completely how the interaction went, but I just remember, that I was acting like that.
Okay, so let's try to expand on this to make it the full interaction as you remember it from the last week. So, who said the first thing?
Well, I'm pretty sure we were in the cafeteria, and we were just talking like normal. We were sitting at the same table, like we normally did, but I think we just were in the middle of a conversation, and he started to get me annoyed and aggravated, and I just lashed out of it.
Okay. So what did he say or do that created that sense of being annoyed? So you guys were in the cafeteria, just having normal conversation, it seems, and then you said that he did something annoying or said something annoying. What was that?
I think we were talking about like our favorite characters in like some show or game. I forget which. I think it was one of our favorite games. But we were having a disagreement about that, and I remember he just said that he didn't like whatever character I liked, and so I don't know. It just got out of hand from there.
Okay. So we're going to try to slow it down. We're just trying to understand exactly what was said or done, and then how those built off of one another to have, as you've described, a level of a conflict.
Okay.
So what did he say specifically about the character? Just, I don't like the specific character you like?
Well, I think he said that character was like terribly done, and the writers, didn't add any character to her, and she was like bland and boring, and I was just like, no, I think that, she has all these interesting traits to her. Like she's a very interesting character. She went to college. She's smart. She's all this stuff. But I don't think he really saw that in her. And I don't know. I just lashed out at him for all that.
So it seems like it started with not too much conflict, right? So he said, I didn't like this specific character. You tried. It seemed like you did a really good job explaining why this character was a good character. And then what did he say after that?
Well, he said that she was boring and bland and aggressive, and that he didn't like how she was as a character, and that the story itself was bad and all that stuff. And I just didn't like that.
Okay. And so you said you lashed out. So
Yeah.
what did you say or do at that point?
Well, I remember we were getting into like the attractiveness of the character at a certain point, and I remember I told him that he would he'd never find a girlfriend or along those lines.
Okay.
And then it just, it went more and more, and I said that he was ugly and nobody would like him and stuff like that, and I told him that I didn't like him, and then, it just went out of hand from there.
Okay. So it seemed like at that point it took a turn from you guys just talking about the characters and how you felt about this thing that was kind of removed from yourselves. Like you were interested in it, but not necessarily like critiquing you as a person or him as a person. And then at this point, it does seem like there was a shift where now the critiques are being launched at your friend. What happened when you said that he's not going to get a girlfriend and then he's ugly and then said that you didn't like him? What did you do at that point?
Obviously he got angry at me, and he said the same things back to me. He said that no, I wouldn't get a girlfriend. And he said that I was being he said that I was being aggressive and all that. And I told him that I didn't want to be around him or something along that.
Okay. Was that the end of the conflict right there, or did it continue for a bit more? Did you guys still continue to sit at the table? What happened after that?
After I said all this stuff, he got up and he told me that he didn't want to be around me and stuff like that, and he just kind of walked away and hung out with some of his other friends for the rest of the lunch, and just left me at the table with two of the other people that were there. But
Okay.
yeah, he didn't come back after that.
And at that point in time, how did you feel after this whole sort of interaction that you had?
I don't know. For a moment, I felt like he was bad and he was taking it too far. I thought that it was his fault. He obviously I didn't think it was me, but after thinking about it for a little while, I definitely think I could have done better when I was talking to him. But I don't know. I think he still didn't do too well with calming the situation down.
Okay. I totally agree. It seemed like there was definitely some level of responsibility on both parts. Turning this conversation from what seemed like first just like an argument about the characters to like more or less making fun of each other and saying some things that might feel hurtful. So this is what I think might help, that we might be able to work on for right now. So this is the cognitive behavioral therapy role playing. So we have exactly what happened right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to see what happens if we both get to play a role here, and then try to de-escalate the conflict in the moment. So we're going to create a few rules here that might help us in the future. Okay? We can't directly say something negative about the other person. We can only describe in this way how we feel about what's going on in that moment.
Right.
And we're not going to say things that might not reflect exactly how we feel about the other person. So for example, you said, I don't like you, and I think it was something like, was it more than that? I'm trying to remember here. You said, I don't like you and...
Yeah, I don't want to hang out with you anymore.
Don't want to hang out with you anymore. Okay. Is that accurate? Did you actually mean that when you said that?
I mean, I don't think I really meant it like that. I was just kind of saying it in the moment.
Okay. So we're going to take that off the table as well. So we're only going to say things that deal with the actual conversation immediately and don't create like a greater conflict with the relationship. Because it seems like you do really like this friend in some ways, and that you do, as you've just said, want to have a friendship that carries on.
Yeah.
All right. So in this case, I'm going to role play your friend.
Right.
And you can take on the perspective of yourself in this. I'm going to throw some things forward that might be escalating the conflict, and from your perspective, what I'd like you to do is to try to keep it going down. Okay? So we're just going to talk about the characters. We're not going to launch insults about each other, and we're going to try to just say how we feel in the moment and see if we can make things a little bit better.
Okay.
All right, so if I remember correctly, it goes something like this. I don't think this character makes any sense for the story. I think she's a boring character, and I don't even understand why you'd like her at all.
Okay. Well, I like her because I think she's I think she fits the theme of the story, and I really like that she's a smart, intelligent girl. She went to college and all that. I mean, she got a doctorate in like psychology. I don't know, it seems kind of interesting to me, and she's always there for other people. So it seems I like her.
I don't know. I just don't like in all the interactions I've seen with her. Like she just doesn't bring anything new to what's going on, and it seems like she's just bland. And like I much prefer other characters that are more action oriented and have stuff that's like cool going on. Because like just getting a doctorate in psychology isn't like.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's not cool. It's not fun. Like she doesn't even have any powers.
Yeah, I mean, but she doesn't need to. I mean, in the story, she saves. I mean, she saves the main hero in the end, and I mean, she essentially is the main backbone to why the story is concluded the way that it does. She essentially she sets up the ending very well. Like the main reason why the villain does what he does is because he talked with her, and she she set up every part of his plan for him pretty much. So it seems kind of important. It seems like she's the main villain more so than he is, and it seems that she's the smart one in the story.
Oh yeah, well I think you have bad taste in characters.
Well, what do you think is better?
Okay, I think that there's another guy character that I've seen who has rockets that he uses and gets in fights and then wins those fights every single time, and I think that's a way more interesting character, and that's what I like way more. So when you're describing this other woman in this fantasy novel, I think that she's like the weakest character, and she can't physically help people, so I don't like her.
Yeah, but like, what up? Does he like? Is there anything to his character? I mean, if he's just strong, I don't think that really means anything. Does he have any any brain to that, or is it just strength?
No, he doesn't need a brain power at all. So I think that your character is really stupid because she can't physically do anything.
Well, I think she's really cool, and I think your character is less interesting.
Okay. Brian, we're just going to table it right there. I think you did a really good job. So one of the things I was trying to do with role-playing your friend was to escalate you. Mm-hmm. So I was making fun of this character continuously, and I was trying to push you to see if you would take this farther by making fun of me directly and do some of the things that you've described that happened in the real version of this conversation. Mm-hmm. I didn't know much about the story, so I was taking a few liberties with it, which I got to apologize for because I didn't quite know the character, so I was just trying to add something in there.
That's okay.
But I really have to say you did an excellent job just sticking to the characters and not making this about me and insulting, let's say, like I'm stupid, or even saying that you don't want to be friends with me, or taking it to that next level that seemed to make things kind of tense between you guys for, a little bit after when this thing happened. All right. So I think we're going to give it a rest for right now. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then when we come back, we're going to work on a new skill. How does that sound for you?
Sure. It's fine.